Hey everyone, and welcome to this Marvel Snap Top 10 about the 10 best Pool 2 cards in Marvel Snap. And we're talking about if you have a complete collection, you have every card in Marvel Snap, what are the Pool 2 cards that you find yourself turning to saying, yes card, I choose you. You're good. I like you a lot card. What are those cards for you? These are the cards for me. You're going to disagree with everything I say, but that's okay, because that's what makes these videos fun, and that's what makes the comment section fun. But regardless, let's get started. Number 10. How could we not start number 10 with a core disruption card that gets introduced in pool number 2? And that is your boy Scorpion. Scorpion, recently buffed. Now afflict cards with opponent's hand with a -1. Now a 2 cost, was a 3 cost before. And it's a damn good card. Because you know what? Know what a lot of people do? They skip turn 1, don't they? They skip a lot of turn 1s. And they hold cards for turn 2 and above. And they're holding them in their hands. And then you hit them with Scorpion. And they're like, damn, that feels bad. Because if Scorpion hits 5 cards, I mean, you could make the argument that Scorpion's a 2/7. Right? Could you make that argument? I'm making that argument. Do you disagree? Probably. But I do think that Scorpion is a damn good card. And deserves recognition on this list. He's not as good as number 9. But he's pretty damn good, isn't he? He's number 10. So who's number 9? Card number 9 pisses everyone off, except for the player that plays it. And even then, sometimes card number 9 pisses off the player who plays it. Because it's one of those cards that if you're not fully prepared, if you don't have the right tools in place, it can backfire. But when things go right, and you see your Hobgoblin flutter onto the other side of the board, you feel like $1 million, and the opponent feels like retreating. Hobgoblin, number 9. And the reason for this is because while you unlock Hobgoblin in Pool 2, Hobgoblin himself doesn't feel all that good. It's missing something. What's Hobgoblin missing? Daredevil. Once you get Daredevil and you're able to see the opponent's play 5 in advance, Hobgoblin becomes free real estate. Hobgoblin flies over the board and makes the opponent feel really bad. And that is a wonderful feeling for you. Not so much for them. And the key thing about Hobgoblin is what more can you ask for from a turn 5 play to pretty much win a location? Yes, theoretically there's some counters. They can Odin and whatever, but really, a lot of people see Hobgoblin fly over the board and say, I guess I'm not contesting there anymore. And that is a damn good card that has a lot of impact on the board state at all stages of Marvel Snap. Some archetypes just need one card to truly feel like they come alive. And in Pool 2, Discard experiences exactly that when they get card number 8, Morbius. It's Morbin time, and you know what I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to say. This is a great card, because if you're playing Discard and Morbius is out there, you got a smile on your face. Very similar to Angela, where, you know, it kind of feels like it has limitless potential, except Angela does not have limitless potential, but, I mean, this card kind of does, I guess. But anyways, what am I talking about? At the end of the day, Morbius is a truly remarkable card. At Pool 2 and above, it makes discard decks feel so much better. It increases the design space for the way discard decks work. It goes well beyond just Helen now. You have Morbius, and you can rely on Morbius to have a huge impact on the board state. And so Morbius is one of those cards that really changes an entire archetype and makes deck building around it possible. And that's why it secures number 8 on this list. Much like Morbius, our position number 7 card has an immense impact on its specific archetype. And that, my friends, is Bucky Barnes. Bucky Barnes, coming into the Winter Soldier, makes destroy decks incredibly more versatile in Pool 2. Destroy decks aren't even that terrible in Pool 1, but until you get to Bucky Barnes, they really don't feel like they come alive. They feel like they're missing something, and they're missing Bucky Barnes. Bucky Barnes is an absolutely remarkable card. It helps. First of all, it gives you a lot of location viability. There's some locations you love playing Bucky Barnes into. Death's Domain, why not throw Bucky Barnes in there, right? And at the end of the day, Bucky Barnes really helps to just give you extra tempo. Playing a Carnage into a Bucky Barnes and getting Winter Soldier, not only are you +2ing the Carnage, but you're getting Winter Soldier from it. It's beautiful, isn't it? That's what makes these destroy decks and their combos so kind of impactful. So high tempo, and Bucky Barnes does exactly that, and that's why Bucky Barnes is number 7 on this list. All right, so number 6 on this list, I think a lot of people are gonna think I'm trolling, but it's one of those cards that if you have not played extensively, you're not gonna believe is as good as I'm about to say it is. You're like, no, this guy's wrong. He's wrong. I might be, but honestly, I do think that this card is super good and worthy of number 6 on this list, and that is Agent 13. Pool 2. Agent 13 is a 1-drop that gives you a random card to your hand. Any random RNG thing, you tend to feel like has to be fair, has to be good. And it is. It's so surprising how good the random card can be from Agent 13, because especially when you consider the combinations with like Agent 13, Devil Dinosaur, Collector, and other cards. Suddenly, Agent 13 actually becomes an extremely viable play. It's insane. I think Agent 13 legit is a very good one drop, a really high tier one drop, and quite frankly, I think people are sleeping on it. I think people are sleeping on Agent 13. And that's why I think Agent 13 is the 6th best card of Pool 2. From Agent 13, a 1 cost, all the way to the 6 cost big boys. That's right, you probably know who number 5 is, because it creates an entire deck archetype all by itself. And that is the Infonaut. Infonaut is one of those cards that finds itself in so many decks. Yes, you got the Pool 2 Infonaut control deck with Sunspot, everyone knows that. But what people often sleep on is how Infonaut can be cheated out with Lockjaws, with Draculas. It can be cheated out with Jubilee. It is such a great card because it's just powerful. A 6 cost 20? Sometimes it's not even 6 costs. It gets pulled out for free, doesn't it? And when you see that Infonaut drop in a lane, your heart just sinks. Unless it's your Infonaut, then your heart just sinks. It's crazy because Infonaut is such a high impact play. And once you move out of Pool 2, you start to recognize like, the Sunspot Infonaut combo is good, but it's pretty predictable, isn't it? You know what's not predictable? Lockjaw into Infonaut. Jubilee into Infonaut. Those are unpredictable, high RNG plays that can definitely pay off. And Infonaut cements itself as number 5 on this list for that very reason. You could win games just because Infonaut showed its face. In spot number 4, we gotta talk about one of the most effective tech cards in the game. It can be a little tricky to play, but its ability to completely win a lane and make the opponent punch their monitor cannot be understated, because no card has made people throw their phones as often as Shang-Chi. Because when Shang-Chi comes out and it destroys the 9 cost and above power cards, the cards that you thought you were relying on to win a lane, to win a game, you just get your phone and you throw it across the room because you're like, how did I not see that Shang-Chi coming? Who the hell plays Shang-Chi? Everyone should play Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi's a beautiful card. I have made so many highlights, so many YouTube shorts, so many videos about Shang-Chi because it's just, Shang-Chi is literally a highlight reel card that just never stops giving. Yes, as a 4-3, if you play him on tempo, you feel absolutely terrible. But you just don't. Do you know how many games you win playing Shang-Chi on turn 6 and you punch out, the top 5 Infonaut right in the face and it just becomes a 0-0 and you just win the game? It's insane how often Shang-Chi punches out a death that the other player was really relying on to win a lane. How often Shang-Chi punches out the America Chavez that you predicted the perfect lane placement. Shang-Chi is wild as a card. It has some complexity. You have to make sure you play Shang-Chi with the correct turn initiative. You want their card to play first before you play Shang-Chi on turn 6, for instance. But ultimately, Shang-Chi is such a damn good card. And there's so many circumstances where Shang-Chi is the perfect card for you to win a game, and you'll be happy he's in your list. As we enter the top 3, I recognize that people are going to disagree with my selections, and they are incorrect, because the card I'm about to talk about is most definitely a top 3 card in Pool 2. It is most definitely a card that you lean on as you enter Pool 3. It is a card that makes a huge difference. It is a card that is a build around for many decks based on the need for additional reach in your plays, and that is Storm. Storm is a card that not only acts as location correction by flooding a location, and it becomes flooded, but it also allows you to play very intelligently around the idea of having additional reach in your deck. For instance, the first iteration of Storm is in the Infonaut control deck. You play Sunspot, you Storm on top of the Sunspot, and they can't play there, but you can run the Sunspot, win the lane. You play Infonaut on the other one, easy win. What else do you do? As you enter Pool 3, maybe you have Dr. Doom, and all of a sudden you have a Storm in there, and they think they've won it, and then a Doombot comes flying in because you have that additional reach. You've built for that, right? Maybe, just maybe, you have Ultron because you're out of your damn mind, and you've stormed a location. And that means that the Ultron can access the lane where the opponent can't. You win the game. Storm is one of those cards that provides you with so much utility because not only can you get rid of a location, but you can put Storm in a deck that you know you have additional reach for, and the opponent might just not. And the result is that you're able to secure wins, secure lanes, and get those cubes. Now we're in the top 2. This is where the competition is most fierce. And this is also where sometimes you've got to stand up and say, listen, to get to be number 1, you've got to be consistent. You can be number 2 in high roll, and that's fine. But to be number 1, you've got to be consistent. And that's why this card's number 2. Because it sure as hell is not consistent, as much as we like to believe it is. And that's Jubilee. Jubilee is the second best pool 2 card in the entire game. Why? Yes, it's incredibly inconsistent. Yes, it can have infuriating moments. But those moments of pure Jubilee, pun intended, far outweigh everything else. When you pull that Infinite out of the air, and it just comes crashing down as a 4 cost, and your opponent just retreats because they're crying at their PC, and they've thrown their phone, and they never want to play the game again because you have the most ridiculously positive RNG ever, that is what makes Jubilee special. Jubilee is played in so many pool 3 decks. Jubilee comes out so often because it is truly a remarkable card. Yes, it's inconsistent, and it prevents it from taking the top spot. But Jubilee is a card that you can legitimately build decks around. Jubilee is a card that creates archetypes of its own, play styles of its own, combos of its own, and most importantly, Jubilee is a card that generates excitement for Marvel Snap. It is a card that is genuinely exciting to watch. It can be dreadful to watch if you're on the wrong side of it. But Jubilee creates emotion, and that's what makes this card beautiful. Here we are, number 1 of Pool 2. We talked about how Jubilee wasn't consistent enough to take the top spot. So who is consistent enough? Who is the card that you can rely on when you need that dub, when you need that tempo, when you need that value? Who is the card you turn to from Pool 2? Well, guess what, friends? I'm debating you, because they're not here. They're a little higher. It's Sunspot. Sunspot is the best card of Pool 2. The reason for this is because when you unlock Sunspot, new archetypes become available. The Infinite Sunspot deck becomes available. Your combination with Storm and Sunspot becomes available. The skill cap of managing your energy with a Sunspot becomes available. You become a better Marvel Snap player playing Sunspot because you begin to manage your resources. Your energy becomes a resource in a different way. It is an incredibly, phenomenally well-designed card. It is one of the best designed cards in this game. It is a card that you look at and you say, this card makes perfect sense, and I love this card. That is why Sunspot is number 1 on this top 10 list. Thank you guys so much for watching. We got another list down below. I'm sure you're going to love it, so check it out. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in that next Marvel Snap video.